America's favorite sport.
Once again to Opening the Vault on Classic Memphis Wrestling. I'm Dave Brown. Jerry Lawler is here with us. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and my colleague, Corey Maclin.
Can we ask a question right off the bat? This is the most often question I get asked about this show. How many of those stupid-looking sports jackets do you have?
Let me just say something right now.
Really? Get a good close-up of that. I mean, who painted that?
This is the Kmart
Bill
Blue
Killebrew,
Light
I think.
Special. I want you to know that
Oh, my
right now.
gosh.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Blue Light Special, right.
That's it.
Our show's going to be better than that jacket today, I can assure you.
I was just thinking Kmart could only sell one of those.
Look who's talking. Look who is talking. Wow. I'm not getting it out.
Oh, well, anyway. Sorry, Jim. Just a little editorial comment there, I guess. Huh?
Hey, I tell you, we got a full day today, guys. Tojo Yamamoto. We got some footage of Tojo in action. The superstar, Bill Dundee, is going to be right here with us today. We had some footage a few weeks ago, King, and Bill tells us that he's brought his own footage today.
Oh, no.
Some action.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's very good.
No, that's not good, believe me.
Rock and Roll Express will be going against the Nightmares in a classic match coming up in just a few minutes, too. And there's going to be an interesting match involving you and Tojo against the Mummy and Sam Bass.
Wow, man. I'll tell you a great story about that.
Okay, well, we'll get into that a little bit later on. An interview with the Nasty Boys?
Nasty Boys interview, and let me just say this. Sam Bass was one of my favorite managers. When I was growing up, I loved him.
And Sam Bass was my favorite manager, too, of anybody that I ever had manage me. Does that hurt you?
No,
Does that mean anything to you, Jimmy Hart?
I watched, when I was in elementary school, I used to watch you and Sam Bass, so I loved him. I grew up watching him.
When he's in elementary school.
Oh, my gosh.
Elementary school. Well, I guess maybe we better stop this before it gets too much further along right here. We've already insulted his jacket. We can't insult him too much more without making him maybe want to walk out.
That would be a good idea, too.
That wouldn't be bad.
Let's get this first match underway right here. And this is one that starts, a lot of times it happens in a wrestling match. It starts out nice and calm and a couple of guys.
Then it
doesn't
just
end up that
blows
way.
out.
And this, if you just pay attention and watch some of the different names that enter this match and all of this mass confusion, but some of the biggest names ever in the history of Memphis wrestling all get involved in this particular
Say that again.
Into the ropes. Eddie slipping by. Trying to get a sleeper. That's a big neck to try to wrap around. Awfully hard. Once you get it, though, you've got some pressure points to work on. But Rude comes in from behind, drops an elbow after he took the tag from Neidhart. And he takes over. Tag, Tommy Rich. Wildfire. Ah, what a bad break. The referee, with a distraction taking him away, did not see the tag on Tommy. They tied Tommy up into or Eddie up into the ropes. Pardon me for calling Tommy. I've found myself doing that. Look at Eddie. He is rattled up. And here comes his brother, Doug, who's trying to get the ropes off as Rick Rude comes over. Dougie, the youngest member of the Wrestling Gilbert family, and Dougie, just a youngster, trying to get brother Eddie out of there. The referee knocked down, and the referee says ring the bell. It's going to be a disqualification, no question about that. 10 minutes, 22 seconds. The Fabs will retain the belt, but can Eddie breathe much longer with that rope wrapped around his neck? Dougie trying to get that those ropes undone, but he's twisted him. Neidhart slamming Tommy Rich. Disqualification on the Anvil and Rude. And again, Doug Gilbert up there trying to pull the ropes apart. The referee slapped down by Rick Rude. Rude back over to, somebody fired something in the ring at Rude. I know how they feel, but that's a sure invitation to trouble on their part. Gilbert. Is is really tied in that rope. Doug trying to pull him apart. He's just no match for the way those ropes are twisted up. Rude pounding Rich, the referee down. Neidhart and Rude. I think we got a little help on the way from the way the crowd reacting. Here comes the Dutchman, and Rude nails him before he gets in the ring good. Neidhart slams Tommy Rich. Dutch Mantell was ripped by Rude as he tried to get in there. Here comes Rude back over to get on Gilbert. Neidhart with his foot on Tommy Rich's throat. Oh, boy. Referee trying to get Rude back, but Rude's already banged him several times and does again. Eddie being kicked by Jimmy Hart. Dutch being pounded by Rick Rude. Here comes some more help. Mad Dog, Robert Reed blitzes in there. Neidhart fires him into the ropes. And Eddie still held up in the ring by the ropes. Down goes the referee again. There's a pile driver put on Mad Dog, who came in there to help Gilbert and Rich out. The bout ended in 10-22 on a disqualification, but that doesn't do Eddie Gilbert one bit of good. Referee Jerry Calhoun over now trying to get the rope. Neidhart and Rude stuck his head down in there, and one of the spectators trying to help Eddie out. That's a nice, noble thought, but boy, stay away. Neidhart just missed taking his head off. Humongous. And he slams Lawler down, headbutts him with that mask. Gilbert still caught up in the ropes. Again, Humongous busts Lawler and his head split open. Dutch Mantell is bleeding. Rude trying to hold the ropes together, and successfully, as Gilbert, the only thing that's saving him is he's able to support part of the weight on the knee. Hart living up to his boast that the family has decided they're going to do anything to win. Here comes the idol. He goes after Neidhart. Rich is down. Mantell is down. Lawler's bleeding. Humongous taking care of him. Here comes Macho Man Randy Savage with a ball bat. Slams Idol in the head. Desperate now, trying to work his way up. His brother helping dropping him as he gets out of it, but Neidhart puts him halfway back in it again. Savage leaps off and nails Austin Idol. Humongous tearing Lawler up. Dutch being brutalized by Rick Rude. Neidhart having a field day. Savage trying to snap Gilbert in, but he is out of it. Eddie choked for 5 minutes. Slammed in there, and he is totally out of it. Savage goes back after Idol. Humongous headbutts Lawler again. Here's promoter Eddie Marlin. Hart is being told, I don't know what, but I can imagine by Eddie Marlin. Referee. Jim Neidhart slams the, boy, I'll tell you, Jim Neidhart slams the referee. A lot of fines going down after this, and brother, I hope they sock it to him. No excuse. Dutch back out on the floor. Rude choking Eddie Gilbert. Dougie at least gets him out of the ring. Eddie hits the concrete very hard. Boy, he has just been torn up, Eddie Gilbert has. He can't hardly get up off the floor. His brother's trying to help him. And now it's going wild in a ring. Here comes Jim Jamison. He's slammed back into the first row. What a brawl. What a brawl. I'm telling you, it is something else. Jamison again fired in by Rude. Eddie Gilbert being helped by his brother. Eddie was choked for at least 5 minutes. Blood all over the place. All right, Randy. Yeah. Savage saying he wants to start his match, and he's in here killing everybody. Scott Shannon in helping Lawler. Lawler goes after Rude. Eddie Marlin trying to get Angelo Popo out. Look at Rich going after Neidhart. Eddie Gilbert, helped up by his brother, he grabs a chair, and his anger sends him after Neidhart. What a brawl.
So they ended up everywhere, everybody.
And I want to say one thing about that match. The only guy that is uglier than Jimmy Hart, did you see him make an appearance in that? The fabulous Ox Baker. You know, he made $1 million just on his looks alone. He had the ugliest mug in all of wrestling. Well, until Jimmy Hart got in.
Well, you know what? You know why he's saying that? Because he was another member of Jimmy Hart's first family.
Who, Ox Baker was?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was he, your son?
Oh, real cute.
These two are battling. You got an interesting battle set up.
Yeah, they're battling. And we've had the album that Jimmy presented to the King last week. Well, today we got a battle of videos.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we got
Been waiting for
videos.
this. He's always talked about the golden throat of Jimmy Hart, the Gentrys. You know, he wasn't even the lead singer of that group.
You know what? Let me just say this right
You've
now.
always told me you were the lead singer.
What do you mean? Hey, who had the biggest hit records? The Gentrys with Cinema Girl and Why Should I Cry, and all those hit records toured with the Beach Boys, Dick Clark, Sonny and Cher, all over the world. You can look at any of the videos out there, and you'll see the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart singing lead on it.
Oh, Sonny and Cher. I love Sonny and Cher.
That's true, except for Keep On Dancing. He did sing lead on a lot of those.
The only big hit they really had.
Oh, you hurt me so bad.
This first video is not the Mouth of the South. It's going to be the King, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I get to lead. Wait, you always make fun of the Nunnery Brothers. You better
You know
quit
why?
that.
Because they used to wrestle at the Jerry Lawler School of Wrestling.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
This is going to be eye for an eye, I think. And here's the King's video. And then I don't know if we'll do this or how we'll vote, but we'll figure out some way. Take a look at the King's video first.
Never did last.
good thing you gave up your Jimmy Hart imitation.
Well, you know what? That's right. The Jimmy Hart influence. You hear, I was singing so high, it was like, I'm trying to sing like Jimmy Hart, eye for an eye.
Did you see the guys with their shirts off? During the music, they were going, oh, I can't believe it.
Okay, we're ready. Let's suffer through
He's
you.
got one. Yeah, what about this one?
This video was shot in Hollywood, professional.
In Hollywood?
Yeah,
Hollywood. Not
We ain't
Memphis,
school,
Tennessee.
yeah.
Haven't we heard this before?
You talked about Treadwell. You sure it wasn't shot over at Treadwell?
Just check this out.
Now, this is called what? We Hate School?
We Hate School. That's
And
right.
this is why
Straight up the charts.
this is why people hate videos after you see this. Go ahead.
Oh.
Let's look.
My teacher don't like my music and she don't like my clothes. I said, up your nose with a rubber hose. I'd like to shovel where the sun don't go. 'Cause we hate school, but we love rock and roll. We hate school. We hate school. Rock and roll. We hate school. We hate school. When I come home, I turn my radio on. My DJ's playing my favorite song. My mother yells, get off the phone. Have you done your homework? Is that radio on? We hate school. We hate school. Rock and roll. We hate school. We hate school. Older friends are jumping on my back. I said, come on, baby, better cut me some slack. I'd like to hit that old broad in the nose. 'Cause we hate school, but we love rock and roll. We hate school. We hate school. Rock and roll. We hate school. We hate school. Rock and roll.
King, you all right now?
Oh, well, what is,
Oh, my goodness.
oh, I can't get over that Jimmy Hart video. We hate
Hey,
school.
it was played on MTV, VH1. Where was your video played?
What?
It was
What do you mean, what?
That was on MTV and
Of
VH1?
course it
Oh,
was.
give me a break.
What about BET? I didn't see it on BET.
Boy, he will tell a lie in a minute.
That's because you don't watch BET.
I do watch BET.
I watch
Are you
BET.
nuts? I watch BET gospel, everything.
Oh, please.
You're crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
We hate school.
I knew. Look, I knew
got
we should have
fever.
stuck to wrestling. Whenever we brought Jimmy Hart and his music in here, we were making a big mistake. Let's get back to some wrestling.
Okay, we can do that because we got another classic match coming up right here.
Wow. Oh, good.
A couple of classic teams. The Nightmares. Remember the Nightmares? Everybody remembers the Nightmares.
Ken Wayne and Danny Davis.
That's who they turned
exactly
out
right,
to be.
yes.
Oh, look, you were taking responsibility for putting them together?
I used to manage them. They were the champions.
Okay.
They were going against the Rock and Roll Express.
A team
Now,
that I did put together.
in a previous show, you were talking about that, how you put them together and had their outfits and all
Well, you
that.
had Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson just wrestling as single wrestlers and really basically not going anywhere. A couple of nice-looking young kids and good wrestlers, but just hey, quite frankly, no gimmick.
Yeah.
You know what? And look at Hart. You can tell you got to have a gimmick to be successful. And I mean, he's a walking gimmick. So I
He's a
looked at
living
those
gimmick.
guys and I thought, what can we do? So I promise you, the flea market was in town. I sent Ricky and Robert over to the flea market and told them to get a bunch of bandanas, different colored stuff like that. And I took some T-shirts, I took their tights, and I took out a pair of scissors and I started cutting and slicing. And they were sitting there going, what's he doing? What is happening here? Next thing you know, we tied bandanas all around their arms, their legs. We cut their shirts, and they gave them the raggedy goofy look that they had, and they went out there to some loud rock and roll music. We call them the Rock and Roll Express, and boom. I mean, history was made, and they went on the fast track then, brother. They got famous all over the world.
All over the world, and here they are right here going against the Nightmares.
Morton from behind stopped the fist as the Nightmare was going to throw at Robert Gibson. Rick stays in there after the tag made. That's the way the match started. Rick Morton against Nightmare number 2. Middle of the ring. Robert sneaking in there. Now the Nightmare issuing a threat of some sort to Robert Gibson back in the corner. We're coming up on the 3-minute mark. Back in the corner. Nightmare firing the right fist twice. Rick Morton reverses him. Morton with a flying head scissors. And the Nightmare heads for the corner in the tag. Rock and Roll in control makes the tag. Robert Gibson will be going against Nightmare number 2. Off the rope, shoulder butt by Robert Gibson. Nightmare grabs him by the hair. Yanked him down to the mat. Boy, that, just as he went by, he grabbed his hair. Nightmare seizing control of the match here. Off the middle rope. Nightmare number 2 drops down on Robert Gibson. Robert falls back to the corner. Nightmare after him. Whips him across the ring into the turnbuckles, and Robert bounces over the turnbuckles, hanging upside down there. Nightmare flips him back into the ring. Here comes the other Nightmare going to work on Robert. Rick Morton trying to get to him to help him out. He's sent back to the corner by the referee. Double team by the Nightmares off the rope. Double upper arm, and the elbow drop by the Nightmare number 2. There's a knee. He covers 1, 2. 2 count is all he gets. There's a tag made by the Nightmares. Robert Gibson back near the corner, gets the tag. Here comes Rick. Rick Morton going to work against both of them. Dumps the Nightmare. Drops down with the right hand. Over to the corner. Robert climbing the ropes. He's on the middle rope. Jumps off of there with the right hand. Nightmare on the mat. Count is 2. At the 2 count, he breaks it. Whoa. As Robert is swinging back, he kneels the other one standing out on the apron. Now Rock and Roll, both there together. Double upper arm. Robert leaves. Rick with a cover. Count of 2. The other Nightmare jumps in to break it up at the 2 count. 6 minutes gone in this ball. Rock and Roll Express again with that double move. There's a cover by Robert. 1. This time the other Nightmare gets there at the 1 count. Referee tangled in the action there briefly. Rick. The drop kick. Rick drops down on him. Count is 1, 2. 2 near the corner. Too easy for the Nightmare and the other one to get there and break it up. Rick turns his attention to him. Robert comes in to keep the other one busy. Kicks him out of the ring down onto the floor. And now Rock and Roll going to work against Nightmare number 2. He hangs onto the rope, steps out of the ring. Look out, Beekeeper up on the apron. He's flipped into the ring by Robert. They send him into the rope, drop kick him. He rolls out of there.
You can't get a nightmare, grab a beekeeper.
That's right. And the beekeeper, I don't know, he may go back to part-time work with Jimmy Hart after this. Look out. Robert nailed
Nailed him
the
with something.
Nightmare.
Has something on his hand, too, Dave. That's it.
Nightmare has gotten the win here. That was a chain or something that he had wrapped around his hand.
Well, we talked about him, Tojo Yamamoto, who unfortunately we lost several years ago, passed away, and but he at one time
killed himself.
Yeah, he did. He had a terminal illness, and honor was a big thing with him, and he took his own life. But he left us some classic memories of a wrestler. At one time, he called himself, I think, the meanest man in wrestling. If he didn't, everybody else called him.
Well, first of all, what better wrestling name was there than Tojo Yamamoto? I mean, you just hated that name, you know. And then Tojo had the great. He used to tell me. I remember when I was just starting and making some trips with Tojo. He said. Jerry, let me tell you something. Facial expression, very, very important. Facial expression. And he said, let me see you look like you're in pain. And I'd go, and he, that no good. And he started pushing my arm. You know, I'm like, oh, he said, that good. Tojo was just great.
You know, I got a classic story I want to tell about Tojo. Speaking of pain, and we were in Jonesboro, Arkansas, in the back of the arena, and Tojo says, hey, he said, take this stick, hit me. I said, no, I don't hit you, Tojo. I don't hit. He said, well, I hit you. I said, no, don't hit me.
You know what?
He was just...
One time on a trip from Nashville to Louisville, I had the privilege of riding with Tojo, and he told me one thing. He said, always remember, Jimmy Hart, age and experience shall overcome youth and enthusiasm.
And Tojo was right. Let's take a look at Tojo and myself, partners, against my greatest fan and friend, Sam Bass, as a manager, and the Mummy. Oh, boy.
Here comes Lawler. Tojo pushes the Mummy over the back of Jerry Lawler. And Lawler takes the opportunity to really start pounding him. Sam Bass has Tojo down. And is pounding Tojo. Bass caught leery of that arm now. Off the ropes. Nails him with a right. Turns him around, but he hadn't put him down. Lawler takes another shot at him. Into the ropes. Ooh, he got him off his feet that time. Lawler turned around and started for Bass. Bass was having none of that. He took all 3 steps and 1 big step and got out of reach of Lawler. Lawler now redirects his attention to the Mummy. A tag on Tojo. With a chop. Again. Tojo Yamamoto starting to really loosen him up with those chops. Lawler turns him around. Tojo catches him from behind again. The Mummy comes over to tag Bass, and Sam wants to have a talk with him. He added a few punches from the outside of the ring on Yamamoto. Tojo going after him with that foot, flies up, kicks him back. Lawler with a beautiful drop kick. Tags Tojo. Yamamoto once again. Lawler, a big drop kick, and the Mummy having a hard time getting up this time as Lawler stomps him right in the head. Again. A tag on Yamamoto preceded that, and here comes Tojo after him. He just lifts the Mummy up midsection. They solved the problem of getting the Mummy off his feet. Now he's having a hard time getting on his feet. Lawler looks like he's setting for another one. A big drop kick, and down the Mummy goes. Jerry Lawler cut loose both feet, squarely at him. Lawler moves to the corner, says, come on, Sam, let's get in here and pitch a little. Nope. Sam Bass goes trucking his way out, heads for the dressing room. That leaves the Mummy solely in the ring. Well, that's where he's been all night, but now he doesn't have a possibility of getting any help from a partner. Lawler covers him, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. The Mummy left to the mercy of Lawler and Tojo. And about that point, Lawler and Tojo said, we'll do it in. And they got a 3 count immediately as Lawler covered the Mummy. Sam Bass, forsaking his discovery, the Mummy, when he saw Lawler coming after him, he figured it was time to head for the dressing room and left the Mummy all by himself in the center of the ring. He staggers around, lost at the present time. He's listing to one side and then the other. Swings at Lawler. He misses him, but Lawler is caught in that vice grip of the Mummies. Tojo. Whoa, and Lawler looks like he's trying to take the Mummy mask off, and the referee's trying to break it up. The match is all over with. The Mummy rolls out of the ring. And Tojo Yamamoto and Jerry Lawler are the victors in the tag bout with the Mummy and Sam Bass.
back on Opening the Vaults of Memphis Classic Wrestling, the superstar, Bill Dundee. Good to have you here, Willie.
Good to be here, Mr. Hart. I didn't think I'd do this, but I'd like you to be here.
Oh, I can't believe it.
Were you ever in the
I'm
first
mad at him
family?
for 2 weeks ago. That match he showed
Oh, yeah, I remember.
went 10 minutes longer than what he showed. He cut it. What happened at the end of the match? I still had my hair right. Mr. Coffee come and stopped it because I was bleeding. He thought he won, that he started the match, but he never showed that part. So I ain't speaking to him.
I didn't have that mysteriously got erased from my tape. I don't know what happened.
Well,
But you brought your own
I
footage
have
today.
a version of that too, and I'll bring the other one of them other days. I'll bring it down here. But
I knew
Hart,
this
I
was
didn't
gonna
ever
be
think
bad.
I'd take the king over you over the king, but I saw it on MTV too, that show. I did.
Thank
see
you,
that.
Billy. Hey, you know
sure
what?
did.
Did you ever look and see who the special referee for all of his matches were?
Who?
What do you mean, who? Jerry Calhoun.
Oh, well, that's true.
Boy, there's a blast from the past.
But hey, get this. I talked to Jerry Calhoun on the phone today.
Wow.
Hadn't talked to the guy in about 15 years.
Really?
Talked to him on the phone today.
That's great.
Hey, try to get him to come on one of these shows.
We do need to get Jerry down here. We got a match superstar with you and the King finishing up a big battle royal. Jackie Fargo jumped in and some other guys. Take a look at this action.
Otto, then Dennis Condrey, Rocky Johnson, and then Phil Higgerson. We are down to Lawler and Dundee. Ooh. Higgerson, who should be on his way back to the dressing room, reached up, tripped Dundee, and Lawler just came off that top rope and throttled. He couldn't get the 3 count. The powerful little Australian kicked him loose at the count of 2. That looked like sure 3 count, but Dundee was having no part of it. Lawler and Dundee, the remaining representatives of the 2 teams. Dundee on top of Lawler, pounding away with that right hand. And referee Jerry Calhoun, in this no time limit, no disqualification match, can only do his best to try to get them apart. And Lawler appeared to grab a chain. Here comes Jackie Fargo in. Oh! Here they all come. Ring the bell. Fargo with Lawler, Hickerson, Condrey. Here comes Tojo Yamamoto. It's mayhem. And Lawler being rattled by Fargo. Jackie catching him with that ring he's got on his hand and split Lawler open, but good.
Next week, same time, we hope you'll join us right here as once again we open the vault on classic Memphis wrestling. For Corey, Jimmy,
Let me sign it.
Jerry, we'll see you then.